Hello and welcome to Mayhem with your host,
May. Yesterday, I yelled at my daughter for no reason. Well, I had lots of reasons, but they weren't the right reasons. I was upset because I was tired, and anger had a firm grip on my psyche recently. Then I got home to a clean house, but not to dinner. And I was appreciative of the clean house, but I also had to cook dinner, and my girlfriend was in pain, and she'd been the one cleaning for hours. My kids were in their rooms. To top it all off, I got a progress report, and my daughter's grades were not good. All that to say is that when I first laid eyes on my daughter, I yelled at her. That's not okay. I hate it when my mother did that to me. When I recognized what I did, I apologized. But that led me to ask, why was it my instinct in the first place? Where was my head that was ever okay? I used to think that my temper was one of those cartoon bombs that exploded in your face. It went pow! You got some soot on your nose. And then I got over it, and then we moved on. I now understand anger is a lot more nuanced than that. It's an entire entity all on its own. And in my head, I imagine my anger as Gerald O'Hara, Scarlett's dad. A man who got everything he wanted out of life, but he worked for it, and he got it in ways that he didn't expect. A passionate man who lived and loved very loudly. So that's how I'm going to try to deal with my anger, to placate it first, and then to tell it to stand down. I've always been an angry person. I have had men cower in my presence, just from the heat of my fury. There was a man who moved in with me, like 10 years ago, and he got fired from his job. And then it came time for rent. And then he told me he was fired 3 weeks later. He just was afraid of my temper. I have been told that I am intense, that I am intimidating, that I have a serious resting bitch face, which is true. My mom used to slam doors into walls, making holes behind where the knobs are, and I have been known to be just as destructive. So what's next? How do you tame a beast who comes out unexpectedly, who doesn't give you time to breathe, much less to take a moment to work through your shit? I yell before I can stop myself. But hopefully, by personifying and talking to it, I can figure it out. I wrote a whole blog on it today, and, my mental attitude before I wrote the blog, and my mental attitude after I wrote the blog, I was in two different places, and even when I got home today, Tisa commented on how calm I was and how different I felt. And writing it out and talking to it and having that, come to the campfire and work it out type of mentality really helped me, I think, because I feel a lot less angry now. I don't know. This is going to be a thing I'm going to try because it seems to help. But I kind of want to tell you about a book I read not too long ago. The main character was quite angry. Main character being in, there's like 7 or 8 of them. But the main character that you're following most of the book, he was very angry. It was a young adult book that came highly recommended from one of my good friends in my writing group. And it's by a guy named Tom Levine. So let me tell you about Tom Levine. Last year, I went to Comic-Con, and I was super excited to go to Comic-Con, beyond anything else, to meet my favorite author, Mira Grant. I love everything this woman has ever written. She's amazing. I do not like her pseudonym, which is Shannon McGuire, but everything that Mira Grant has written has been gold in my eyes. And I met her, and it was like, you meet famous people, and sometimes it's a hit, and sometimes it's a miss, and maybe she just had a bad day or whatever, but it was just like, meh, I met her, fine, that was whatever. And then I went around the corner, and I met Tom Levine. And I have met Tom Levine before. I met him at a previous Comic-Con, and I read the book that I bought from him that day, and it was a good book, not the greatest book, not Mira Grant status, but it was a good book. And, Tom Levine is a local author, and he has this excitement and this personality, and I got him. He got me. It was amazing. I loved meeting him. So I bought a couple of his books, and one of my good friend Tabitha recommended me to read Mercy Rule. And she has been telling me this for a long time. And so I got Mercy Rule, and I got another book by Tom Levine. So I read Mercy Rule. And this book is intense. It is so seriously intense. It's a really good read. It's a really easy read, and it is a must read. It says it's about football. It's not about football. It's about a school shooting. And I'm going to go ahead and ruin it for you. If you want to read the book, here's where you fast forward a few minutes. I'll be back. But here's the thing about the book. I was really disappointed when you find out who the shooter was, because it was very stereotypical and it was completely predictable. What was not predictable, what made me audibly gasp when I read this book, was who his family was. That was shocking. And I thought that the lead up to the actual shooting and then the way he wrote the shooting was beautiful. I thought that as an LGBT person, I thought that he talked about it. He hinted that there was a lesbian relationship in this book, but he never said so. He always kept it at friendship level. I thought he could have gone a little bit further with that, because it felt right to go a little bit further with that particular relationship. But those two things, having the predictable shooter and then the relationship that didn't go as inclusive as it should have, those two things were the only things wrong with this book. This book was phenomenal. This book is a must read. Every single time I hear about a school shooting, every single time I think about high school, every single time I see Sally from Nightmare Before Christmas, I think about this book. It was phenomenal. Tabitha's absolutely right. It is a must read. So, my recommendation for a book this week is Mercy Rule by Tom Levine. I am really thankful that I have my blog and that I have multiple platforms that I can speak my truth on. I am thankful that I have people who listen to me, and I have opportunities to talk about my life and how I feel. And I'm also very grateful that the holidays are upon us, and I get to use the holidays to torture my kids. I have an elf on the shelf, and since they're a little bit older, I get to torture him. So this month is going to be pretty fun. I wanted to leave you with an epiphany that I had over the past week, and I wanted to leave you with the mantra. So my epiphany this week is that anger is a necessary weapon, but it's not a tool. So when you're dealing with anger, it's okay to be angry. It's okay to pull it out when you need it. It's okay to use it to protect yourself. But it is not okay to use anger as a tool against the people that love you. My mantra is, I sheath my anger so I can feel through the pain. Because for me, anger dulls and mutes the pain that I need to walk through. And I am trying to put away my anger so that I can walk through the pain and understand it and move past it. So I just wanted to say thank you for listening. Thank you for dealing with me. And maybe listen next week. Remember, the only way through mayhem is to have a plan. This week my plan is to talk through my anger. What's yours?